Hello, and welcome to another installment of the Nelson 6-liter build. So tonight I'm trying to get the fuel tank dropped if I can to start working on that 1/4-inch return line going into the pickup in the tank. So I don't really feel like fighting the full tank and having to deal with how heavy it's going to be with fuel, and I think there's like a 1/4 tank in here. So what I have rigged up is, let me grab a light. The fuel pump relay is under the driver's seat, and the power wire to jump to it is the pink and black wire. So I just have some alligator clips here with a nail shoved in there, go on to some more alligator clips, which go to some more alligator clips to get me some length. And then I installed in line my temporary or momentary starter switch used for testing starters or bump starting a car. So the clip comes out of here and goes into one side of the starter switch. The other side goes over here, and by pushing this button, we complete the circuit. I took the fuel feed line off of the fuel pressure regulator right here and just grabbed some rubber hose, and stuff's falling behind me, and clamped it on. So now we take this button, we hit the button, and we get fuel. So now we just empty the tank. Also, note, none of my fittings down here are leaking, so everything looks good. So now I'll just sit here and run this forever until we're out of gas. Alright, we got all the fuel emptied out of the car. Now we need to just get these exhaust tailpipes off. There's one. There's that. Now we're gonna knock these off and undo the hangers, and I'll pull out the rest of that, and then the tank's ready to drop. Alright, just wrestled the exhaust down, and I didn't feel like really messing and dicking with the rubber hangers, so meet the duck. The duck is one of those really cheap $5 knives you get at like a flea market, but it's serrated for most of the blade, and this thing is the best junkyard tool knife, or junkyard bag knife, we've ever had. It goes along, it's all metal. So, cheap $5 knife makes real quick work of these rubber mounts up in here. They were dry rotted and hard anyway, so they would have needed replaced. And I think we're gonna run axle dumps in the car anyway, so cut everything out. Exhaust is hanging. Now I just gotta pull them out. Back at it, it's another night. I had to actually take the car down and did a fuel tank in a Suburban for somebody, so that took a couple nights just waiting on parts, getting stuff up. Got it back in and got from where we picked up. The exhaust has to finish getting picked out of here and pulled out, but it's hanging and I can't get it out. And I'm gonna need to probably, what I'm looking to do here is, the shocks are in the way. So we're just going to undo the shocks down here, and I'll drop the rear down, and then that should allow me enough swing to get the exhaust up and out of it. And they are on there. We're gonna need something bigger. Let's hit it with a little more gusto. I'm just gonna get it all freeze off. We'll use the big gun. Ooh, that's nice and toasty. Alright, we'll go knock the other one out. Alright, other one's loose. Should probably be hitting that with a nut on the end of it. I'll use a punch here. That's a bad angle. Definitely a bad angle. switch up my spot. Okay, definitely wants to drop. Looks like we're gonna have to put more tension on the rear. There we go, bolt straightens out. Oh, bolt should just pull out. Come on. There we go. Okay. Gotta get the other side. And then I'll lower the rear down and we should be able to wiggle these exhaust pipes out. Alright, rear coming down. Shock should be free. Now, we should be able to wiggle these out whichever way they want to go. I'm going to fight with this for a while, and we'll be back. After much cussing, the exhaust was wriggled out. It was a major pain in the ass and dug up the floor. I probably should have had the car up a little higher. But I didn't want to go too high because then the jack wouldn't have been able to reach the gas tank to lower that down. So I got it wriggled free, and I just got the tank dropped. It's just held in with the two straps here in the front are 13 millimeters that go up into the top, and then as you let it down, just kind of, you can see where it's hanging on clips and stuff, and just undo the clips. And this is so much lighter than the Suburban one I did last night. This one was a joke. So now I gotta find my fuel release pliers for the Ford style clips over here. They have you have to slip in the inside with the pliers, and it'll release it from the inside and it'll pull off. Got the neck pulled out, so I'll get the fuel lines released, and then I got to start cleaning and digging that upper ring free so I can spin it so I can pull the pickup out of it. And then over here I did end up getting some stuff from Summit today. There's other stuff down in the mailbox I gotta grab yet as well. Set this up. Point you at the right spot. So I did put the wrong fittings on the fuel feed and return line, the AN fittings. They were the wrong ones. I forgot. I remembered that I had had to flare the fuel line in my car for these fittings, but I didn't use the pinch olive style. I actually used the tube sleeve and tube nut. So this goes on the tube first. So first you flare it, well, you slip this on and you slip the nut over it. So it'll end up looking like, let me see here, where we at? Like this. This piece goes up, the threads face up. This has a bevel on it that fits right up snug against the bottom of the flare. And then this falls down through, sticks through the bottom. And then your actual -6 line has a flare on it. I don't have one laying right in front of me. Has a flare on it, and that flare will fit down, and then I do have to put the 37-degree cone into the double flare, and that will make it tight. I don't want to put fuel through the olive fitting. I did get a bulkhead fitting. This is a -6 bulkhead fitting. So I have all the things here to fix and get the fuel lines finished up. I'm just going to drill a hole in the top of the sending unit that I will slip this down through, put this in, the rubber line will go down into the tank for the return off the barb, and then I can make a -6 AN line. I'm going to use a 90 and bring that down and over and connect that into the hard line and replace the rubber. So that's where we're at now. Now I just got to get the tank cleaned up and we'll see where we go. Just got done dropping the tank. Cleaned it up real good, scrubbed it off. I'm gonna actually end up putting the bulkhead fitting here in the side above the fill neck hole. This should still be above. What I'm going to do is reach through and shove a rubber line on the back of it and try and tighten it up, and the rubber line will go down just like the factory line. Then I'm going to plug this factory 1/4-inch one. Once I got it down here and looked, I noticed that the fill hat here, the pickup, there's not enough meat in there to put this giant fitting. So I was trying to figure out where to put the fitting that would clearance the body. The frame rail sits like right here, and the fill neck actually goes down under, and there's room on this side and pretty much this side only. You have about this much room sticking up that you could get something in here, and was a little scared this would be too tall. In the front it comes down, and there's the body of the floor pan comes right down in front, and in the back there's a rail back here that it sits up in. So this looks to be about the best place, and it'll actually be serviceable too. So what I'm going to do is put this 90 on and shoot it forward like this. This will shoot forward and then pick up here around where the factory hardline is, and I'll finish bending up the hardline. So the tank is ready to go once I plug the original factory return line. All I need to do now is finish pulling out the rest of the return line under the car so I can mate it to the union fitting that I left under there. So we're getting there, So we've made it to the weekend. It is now Friday. I'm working on, I got the tank ready with the return bung or bulkhead fitting in it last night. So tonight I ripped out the rest of the return line and the rubber factory line that's in there, and bent up a fresh one. And I'm actually going to, this one, as you can see, isn't the entire length of it, and I'm actually going to be starting my AN here. It's just going to be easier for me to work with it there and get to it and access it. So previously I had the wrong fitting. I put the wrong fitting on. I remember when I built my car, the AN compression fittings or tube fittings was, I had to put a flare on it for it to work. Well, I shouldn't have used the one with the crush olive in it. Instead, you want, it's a tube nut and a tube sleeve. And this slips on, the tube sleeve will slip on first. So this goes on, actually I'm sorry, the tube nut goes on first, and then this tube sleeve goes on. And you can see this tube sleeve has a 37-degree bevel in it, so you do have to use the AN flare. And then what will happen is this will ride up against the flare on the end that you make, and then this will tighten up, and the bevel from the AN line going into it will fit into the 37-degree cone that you put in here. So that's actually the right way to do it. So I have to redo the other ones. So I'm going to get this knocked out here on this line here. And I'm actually waiting for my Dash 6 union fittings. They should be here tomorrow. And then I can make my hose. So that's where we're at. Use the hydraulic flaring tool again. And something to note, so you have to actually, this only comes with the 45 inverted dies. So you actually have to buy an additional set, and then these are 4 AN fittings. So for this one I used the 3/8 inverted, or 3/8 37-degree inverted die, and then used the 37-degree cone. I also cleaned up this end like you're supposed to. So what happens is this slips up, and I don't know if we'll be able to focus. This will now seal, this inner lip will seal on the flange or the flare, and then this tube nut will come up and all that, and it'll force the cone. Let me see, I'll grab a fitting. Actually, is there one right here? No, I don't have one here. Yes. Okay, so this is the wrong fitting. This is to go into like a fuel rail or something with straight thread. This flare here is 37 degrees, so you can see that fits in there perfect. And then what's going to happen is this is going to screw right on there like that. And then as you tighten that up, that's going to be tight and never leak. So that's good. Now I'm waiting for my Dash 6 union, so it looks like this flare has this flare on both sides, so that I can put a hose on this side. So there we go. I can mount this under the car at this point. Here's the fuel line, return line, all finished and back up in. This is a Dash 6 bulkhead that you saw in the previous clip, and it comes out into a 90 right here. And then I just picked up the factory location that holds the lineup up here, and then just carefully zip tied everything up. I'm gonna put some more clamps up in there to hold everything, but for now the zip ties do a good job and help me get the length requirement. And then it comes down here and it comes into this fitting, the hard line right here with another 90, and into the hard line, and then the hard line has a union fitting up there a little further for maintenance, and if you ever need to disassemble this, it's easier to take it out in 2 pieces than 1. So that's all done. I also, while I was under here, put a couple more of the padded clamps in over here on the positive wire up to the frame rail right there, so that's clear of the spring and axle tube and upper and lower control arms and doesn't hit anything. So that's everything under the car here, taken care of and buttoned up, and we'll go back topside. We'll do a combination outro and sum up everything that got done here. The issue I'm running into at this point is that the Amazon $40 fuel pressure regulator, it works great on my car, but I'm running 58 pounds of fuel pressure, and I'm trying to get this down to about 6 psi for the carburetor setup, and it's just not having it. I tried taking the screw all the way out, it just doesn't go below. I mean, it wants to peg the gauge. So the way I was testing it, I just hooked up my temporary bump starter switch here in line, and it jumped into the fuel pump in the car, and then that way I can pressurize everything. The good news is none of the lines that I made leak. Everything's nice and tight. Fuel return line is all done. The bulkhead fitting, the tank is modified. That's all taken care of. Fixed the fuel door, because the fuel door didn't want to pop open. I can't show you at the moment because the battery's not hooked up, but the fuel door didn't want to pop open, so took that off, adjusted it, and fixed it. Everything is working good with the battery box. Everything's powered good. I got good power and ground everywhere. Tank's back up in. So now I'm waiting. I ordered a Fuel Lab fuel pressure regulator that's supposed to be rated for 3.5 to 12 psi, which will be good. I'll put my 0 to 15 gauge on there, and then we should be able to regulate it back down to about 5-6 psi pressure for the carb. That'll take care of that. I also need to mount the MSD box. I'm going to put it back there on the firewall. I need to do that. I need to look up the wiring diagram for this MSD box. I ran the same one previously in one of my setups, but I don't remember. 12 volts, I think. Pink, I'm pretty sure needs 12 volts. Yellow, I think needs 12 volts. I think these both get 12 volts, but I need to check. Or actually, you know what? Yellow might be tax signal wire, and pink needs 12 volts. I have to look up the wiring diagram. So that'll take care of all that. Once the fuel pressure regulator gets here then, and I get that fixed, and I get the MSD box in here, we should be good to test fire the car. I did get the starter wire and everything taken care of. That was in the previous video that you can go check out. Oh, also picked up, Dad went and grabbed a bunch of these heat shields for the plug wires that I'm gonna throw on all the plugs, or plug wires here, just for the heat from the headers. So that's as far as I've gotten. I'm waiting. I'll have the fuel pressure regulator tomorrow. I will also be putting in the I'm gonna order a trans cooler. I found one that's Dash 6 in and out, and I ordered one of these kits off of Amazon. It comes with, it's a whole bunch of hose and fittings, That's like 58 bucks. It's really cheap for, I think it's 20 feet of Dash 6 and all these fittings. So that's a pretty good deal. These are the Trans Cooler Turbo 400 straight thread on one side and then Dash 6 on the other. So that's what we'll use for that. I'm gonna mount it under the car, and the cooler I was looking at, I forget the brand of it, but it comes with a fan. It's a fan, fittings, cooler, and a bracket for mounting, and it's like 110 bucks or 120 bucks. So I think we're gonna roll with that. Get that mounted, and then we should be in business. So I'll get some more stuff done here as parts show up, and hopefully have a video up by the weekend again. Have a good one.